No matter where God takes you in life, you have a mission to reach the world and give God the glory. Justin Gambino is a Texas-based singer and songwriter whose music is fueled by his powerful testimony. Although he grew up in a Christian home, Justin was a rebellious teen who ran with the wrong crowd and was eventually arrested for theft. Instead of jail time, the judge gave him the option of enlisting in the military. He chose that path. His love and music blossomed in the military, and he began leading worship for the fellow soldiers during his deployment in Iraq. Returning home, he was haunted by PTSD, anger, depression, and addiction. This is his story. This is today's Nashville. This is Faith. Justin, it is such an honor to have you here in Nashville. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I have heard so much about your story. It's amazing, and your music and everything that you're doing. But you have such a powerful journey and testimony. Take me back to where it all started.
I can do that. I mean, how far back do you want to go? Do you want to go back to whenever I was 5 years old and I was bringing my Bible to church and strumming on it like a guitar?
Yes, I would like to.
We can do that.
So where were you born?
I was born in Lake Jackson, Texas, which is about an hour south of Houston. Little town right off the Gulf.
So your parents took you to church when you were a toddler?
Yeah, we didn't have a choice. I am one of 6 kids. And
where are you in the
I'm
mix?
Right in the middle.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
The middle child.
I was the middle child, and we were all homeschooled. My mom was I would say that she was a very patient woman. 6 kids and homeschooling all of us, but we never missed Sunday morning church. We attended a little Baptist church down in the Gulf Coast area of Texas, and so I mean, that was the norm. My mom would tell you that I would bring my Bible to church and strum on it like a guitar. I don't remember that, but that's what she would say.
And did you have instruments in the house?
There was a piano in the house, and at the age of 9, my parents signed me up for some piano lessons, but I really didn't take to it. No offense to the piano players, but I just did not like it. It wasn't of interest to me, and so a couple weeks of that, and I just told my parents I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't like the piano. And what's crazy to me now, it was just a few years ago when my dad told me this. He said that the piano teacher pulled them aside and told them, he said, he may not be interested in the piano, but the kid is a musician. And whenever he finds his instrument, you need to nurture that. And he saw that at the age of 9, just after a couple weeks of me not liking the piano.
So when did you get your first guitar?
It was 6 years later at the age of 15.
15.
A friend of mine that I did homeschooling with, best friend of mine, his name's Timothy. He got his first guitar whenever I was about 14 years old at the time. And every time I would go to his house, I would not put his guitar down. I'd just keep picking it up, and I'd ask him to, just teach me a couple guitar chords and a strum pattern, and I would just strum away and not put it down. And I think, at least in my mind, I like to think this is how it went. He complained to his mom that I was always picking up his guitar and not putting it down. And then his mom went to my mom and said, maybe you should think about getting Justin a guitar for Christmas. And that Christmas, I was 15 years old, got my first guitar.
What was it like opening it up?
Oh, I mean, I saw the shape of the guitar over in the corner. I just knew it was for me, And so opening up, the excitement was already there. I kind of already knew what it was and that it was for me because I was picking up my friend's guitar every single time I'd go over to his house. So it was pretty awesome feeling to get my first instrument. Well,
growing up with 6 and being the middle child, tell me what it was like in that family situation.
There was never a dull moment. All of us we were either there. I would say about 2 out of 6 of us were like just never getting into trouble. And I was one of the 4 that were always getting into trouble. So I was either like pointing at my brother, he did it, or disappearing before someone found out that I did it. So it was, I would say it was like a organized chaos, to say the least. 6 kids. I mean, whenever I was born in Lake Jackson, I mean, we were living in a 2-bed, no, it was a 3-bed, 1-bath house right before my youngest brother was born. So there was 5 kids, my parents, in a 3-bed, 1-bath house. Yeah,
And all homeschooled.
All homeschooled.
So I read that you, at one point, started making some wrong decisions.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you?
I was 17.
17. Were you a believer at this time, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, going to church my entire childhood, that learning about Jesus and what he did for me was something that I was just used to, and I think the knowledge of Christ was there, the knowledge of God was there, but at that time it wasn't a personal relationship. It wasn't a relationship that I had with my Father, with my Heavenly Father. And so I think that is what made it a little bit easier for the enemy to get me off track, because the more and more I've been sharing this testimony, the more I realize the same year, the same age that I got my first guitar was the same year that I got my first job. And that is whenever I got introduced to a completely different crowd than what I was raised around, which was the youth group and other people in the church. So I think the enemy was really paying attention. Whenever the Lord put that guitar in my hands, knowing what he called me to do, the enemy was paying attention, and he put other people in my path to trip me up.
Do you feel like you were sheltered?
Yeah, I would say so. To an extent. My mom still allowed us to go to all the homecoming dances, the prom dances. We were still getting invited to go to those events at the public schools. And so my mom allowed us to do that, but she drew the line at us attending public school. So she really wanted to teach us herself.
So what was that moment that you changed your life, and not in a good way?
That would
when you started making those wrong decisions.
Yeah, I was just hanging out with the wrong crowd, and before I knew it, I was getting mixed up in doing the things that they were doing, which was partying on the weekends, and then I would show up for church the next day, and then that started turning into making the poor decisions of breaking and entering and committing theft and burglary. And that led to me standing in a courtroom. That's whenever everything started. For me, I started to realize that, okay, I've gone too far down this path, and there's no getting out of it.
Were you with friends when you were doing this, or?
So-called friends.
Yeah, so-called friends.
So-called friends that I thought
they introduced you to it.
They introduced me to it, and I just wanted to fit into a crowd that I didn't fit into. I just wanted to fit in, and I wanted to be accepted, and that's what led me down that path.
What was going through your mind when you were breaking in?
I think I was just blinded to the sin that I was committing. I felt, of course, you feel that rush of adrenaline, and in that moment I knew that I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I knew that it was wrong, but what really mattered to me more was fitting in with that group of people, and I don't know why. It's just something that the flesh wanted.
Well, God had a different plan for you when you stood before the judge, and we're going to talk about it when we come back.